This is the place right here, ground zero for the South Beach Shark Club.
Oh, South Beach, beautiful Miami Beach.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. 80s and 90s, a lot of gangs, a lot of drugs.
There's some wild stuff going on.
Now, when most people think of sharks, they automatically think of Jaws.
He caught a 20-foot great white shark that dragged down their small boat.
Renee is an icon.
As a kid, we're going, man, this guy's a guy.
This guy's a badass. 95% of the people that live on Miami Beach now are transient or just showed up on Miami Beach. They have no idea what it was back then.
We thought that we actually owned that beach.
Have you been to South Beach lately? Probably not.
All right, we're here on a special edition of the Happy Customer Channel. Before I introduce my next guest, I got to tell you, you guys scratch me where I itch. Number one, I love documentaries. Number two, you make it a documentary of my hometown. And three, I treat my whole life, every week of my life, like it's Shark Week. So welcome to the show. I have here the directors and the producers of a really, really cool documentary everybody's got to go check out. I just watched it and it was awesome, which is the South Beach Shark Club. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you for having us.
So, Pedro and Robert, tell me a little bit about you guys. I know you're Miami guys, but what's, just for the audience, like your background and how did you get into this?
Well, I was born in Cuba and I migrated here when I was 9 and 03. And in high school, I liked TV production a lot. So I did the morning announcements. Then I went to MDC North to study film, and that's where I met this gentleman in screenwriting class. We both liked the Heat and Nine Inch Nails, so you know, it's
yeah, that was part of the foundation of our relationship, you could say. I grew up in Miami Beach, kind of bounced around to the Boulevard later on in like my teenage years, and moved out of here. Had a lot of different life experience working as a captain on boats, going to school in California. Went to school up in Rhode Island for a little bit. I played music, so I was kind of chasing that as a dream career. And then ended up back down here in Miami, and I met Pedro at Miami-Dade campus, North Campus, and we hit it off in screenwriting class and started doing projects together, and one thing led to another, and then we made this film as a thesis film, as a short film at first, and over the years developed it into a feature.
And was it a passion for fishing, or you just fell in love with a crazy Miami story? And we know there's a lot of them.
Well, for me, I'm very passionate about fishing and about the ocean. I used to dive like as a career. I used to fish as a career. At certain times in my life, I worked as a deckhand on yachts, on boat deliveries, all kinds of things with the water. And growing up in Miami Beach, as dude, the bay is amazing down there. It's not like, some people in Lauderdale, they go out to like the sandbar or something. They're in like a murky water canal. Like, we have a beautiful Biscayne Bay, beautiful sandbars, beautiful beaches. And so it's everyday life is integrated into that, or at least, on the weekends, what you want to do is you want to be out on the water or in the water. So I grew up with a passion for the ocean, and that just the meeting of that with my desire to be a filmmaker and to express myself that way as an artist. This is the perfect meeting for it. Was through this documentary.
All right, so take us back. I'm a Miami guy. I did live in South Beach, but South Beach was a very different place in the 70s, right? And in this film, I discovered a ton of stuff that I didn't know about. Walk us through, what was South Beach like in 1970? What was going on?
It was the fisherman's paradise, pretty much. A lot of old people, retired old people living there, with a small cluster of young people that were starting to come in, Cubans. From everything I've seen and these guys have told me, it was like that, just a free spirit lifestyle. You could be out there on the dock for sleeping all night.
Yeah, sleepy little town.
Fishing. So.
Yeah, it was like a sleepy little beachside town. I mean, in the movie it says per square foot, I think it was the oldest place in the world. Like really, the oldest, the average age in the whole world, which is just insane to wrap your head around. I mean, a lot of people, after Miami had become not as an appealing, Miami Beach had become not so appealing of a place to vacation at anymore. Once airfare became a little bit cheaper, they said that the Orlando becoming a destination, like for other places popping up, like for tourist destinations around South Florida, the Bahamas, things like that. And I guess you had all these people that were like retirees from the Northeast, as who moved down there and were living in all the old hotels that were no longer inhabited. A couple hurricanes and other places to live and to settle in made it not so desirable, I guess. And so There's I think a doco called Mama. What was it called?
Mama lives on Miami Beach.
Mama Lives on
Okay.
Miami Beach. It's actually really cool. And we did license some footage from that, and that's where you see a lot of the old people running around and doing all that. But then you have this whole other little,
Subculture,
this
yeah.
little section of like the first wave of Cuban migrants who end up in Miami Beach in the 70s, and so those are the kids that are, sleeping on the beach and sleeping on the pier and, using the pier as a way to entertain themselves,
Right.
And like all the things that come with it. So obviously, that's where our story begins and where all this whole little community of shark fishermen and the surfers and skaters comes out of that.
So talk to me about like all good stories, specifically Miami stories. There's characters, right? There's a guy called Hammer, another guy called Seaweed Junior. There's obviously Renee.
There's a bunch of guys too.
And Chino, which every Chinese Cuban guy is called Chino.
Yeah, usually.
Like there's characters.
Yeah, there's a guy named Lemon Peel, White Owl. The Ricky Pinheiro was
Dave the diver.
Diver Dave. I think Bob, the skin diver Bob. Diver Dave is from the Keys, actually. Skin diver Bob. But it's just it comes with the territory when you get like especially on a pier or in the boating community. Everyone has a nickname. It's like pirates. It's
right.
Like Blackbeard. You know what I mean? So yeah, you have all these like just a motley crew of people who are like revolving around the ocean in this case.
And what was the culture down at the pier? So you got this pier, and then how did sharks just become the center of what they were doing? Because I had no idea you could do sort of land fishing for the sizes of the sharks and the hammerheads that they're catching in the movie. It's pretty amazing to me.
No, I mean, like when I started this, obviously he was the one that knew of the fishery very well, much better than I did. I just like when we started going out there to the beach, I almost like started like putting myself in like the shoes of like in medieval times, you know, when they were like, oh, let's go out there to hunt a dragon. So like the wait for like the lines to hit those 6 hours, 7 hours, whatever it was just like, man, what's gonna be at the end of that other line? Is it gonna be like a 20-foot beast or like? And then they would tell us like, oh, we don't have many people here, so we're gonna need you guys to get in the water to help us out, drag it out. So it was like, you're waiting there for 5 hours, so you're like, they're gonna bring in a great white. They're gonna ask me to get in.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a filmmaker.
I mean, it has to be interesting from Pedro's perspective and from the perspective of like just also getting a film crew to go actually like convince them to go out there with you
for 5 hours.
Maybe they don't exactly understand what they're signing up for. Like we're on a beach. It could like there's weather. There's different elements. You might be asked to go literally help like wrangle a shark, which has happened before. I had to take out a bait on a kayak once just to kind of smooth things over, make sure that like that. They knew that we were there for real, man. And like, I wanted to be a part of it too, like that. So, at some point, maybe I did even lose sight of like, am I becoming a shark fisherman or am I making a movie or what? But as far as land-based shark fishing goes, I mean, it's not for the faint of heart. It's really something like, and that's what's so interesting to me about it as a kid. It's just like, are you serious? Like these guys are like with these giant reels, like getting on a surfboard with half a buddy barracuda and paddling out 300 yards and dropping this thing like in the middle of the ocean. And then, sometimes waiting 8 hours, 10 hours, waiting for the tide to change 2 or 3 times over and over again for like that bite. And so like, it really just takes like a certain kind of person to do that. And those people are characters and they're like, they have an ego and they're like, they're really about it. And it's just, so that was fascinating from the get go. And I can only imagine like also for, when I told Pedro about this stuff and like, and little by little, we're getting into this world, like the first time that we go out there, which I can kind of remember, like, just I wonder what it was like to witness that. Also drag them out like to the bridge for 3 days. We slept on a bridge for 3 days making this documentary.
Really?
And the last day, we're finally like, okay, we need to like go take a shower. but that's like what it was like. We were trying to be involved, like to really immerse ourselves into the world.
Yeah,
and, like,
you
like
got the sense that these guys had no other life than this. Definitely the kids, not a lot of parental guidance in any way. They were sort of nomads, and even like the main character Renee. Intense dude, right? I mean, his life was fishing. He would yell at everybody, and he was sort of the ringleader of this little group. Talk to me about Renee. I mean, what was his story? What was he really like?
Oh man, it's it's in the documentary. I mean, he was loud. He was obsessed. He was very much driven to do nothing but shark fish. And that's what, a lot of people, like one of the things was we want to hear from Renee. We want to see him humanize a little bit more. But, that's the Renee that I knew from the
As a kid.
archival footage. Is that like, yeah, he was this larger than life, like kind of like folklore hero, this Pied Piper, this guy who was maybe leading these kids down the right path or the wrong path, but it didn't really matter. They just needed some kind of direction.
Yeah.
And so you can't like, in the end of the day, Renee's like, was just he's a guy who's just driven to accomplish the impossible. Like, and that's in some ways he did that, and in some ways that drove him also off a cliff though too.
Yeah, it's ironic.
So,
it cost him his life, but he
practically.
died loving what he did. And I told you the best part of it would have been if a shark ate him.
In a way, we kind of wanted to keep that open. Like we just wanted, and in a metaphorical way, maybe a shark did eat him.
Right.
And that's kind of, we wanted to take a little poetic license with that. In all respect to Renee, entirely. But you would assume if this guy was on a boat like Jaws and it flipped over and he had a great white shark, then maybe this is how he met his end.
Yeah.
So we kind of let that open. In terms of the movie, what did you think about Renee when we were?
No, I just think it's amazing how strong-willed he was, to the point that even 20 years after his death, there's a feature film of him coming out.
Right.
That says something about the man and his determination for what he loved.
Yeah, I felt like almost like sometimes when we were editing, like we try to look for these things that are like almost like God or the spirit speaking to us, or like really just the nature of like the edit. What is it telling us to do? We don't want to bring just like, oh well, we think the movie should be like this and that. So sometimes we would kind of joke like, yo, the spirit of Renee is like coming through us right now. He's saying to make the movie like this, and he wanted it to be about himself.
Right.
That's what I felt like. I had a dream with Renee that I was on a boat with him in the Bahamas, and I'm not even sure what exactly I couldn't really remember the entire dream when I woke up. I know I told you something about it. But to me, what he was telling us, he was like, make the movie about me. And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, because he has that one, the one scene in the movie where he went to the Bahamas and flipped the boat. It's like it's his Moby Dick tale.
Yeah.
And you're like, for that guy, that was the greatest moment of his life. And he almost died that time too. So it's nuts. But he's sort of the ringleader, Hammer. But talk to me about the culture of what the pier was like. Because at the end of the day, it was a special place for, people who... either were very poor or didn't have a structured home. I mean, there was literally kids living on the porch, but it had a real special meaning to these folks. And all these years later, many of them are still clinging on to this, and they still, do this stuff. Walk me through the culture of the pier in South Beach in 1970.
I mean, there's, maybe, obviously, as you could see in the film, south of Fifth Street was a very different place back then. Right now, it's probably one of the most desirable places to live.
It's expensive
for people who are from out of town and very, want to live a luxurious lifestyle. And back then, it was the complete opposite. It was Section 8 housing. It was, the first waves of Cuban migrants. It was, older Jewish people that had come from after the war that couldn't afford, certain places to stay. And, you just had this completely different world there. But a lot of people were, rich in soul, maybe not rich in their pocketbooks, but rich in soul and spirit. And it had a lot to do with that pier and, just being in that beautiful area of beach right there,
right,
which is still beautiful. It just changed a lot. I mean, they did dredge the beach, back in the 80s. And I think maybe even before that, and they knocked down that pier. It kind of changed a little bit. So some of it is still there, but it seems like, a lot of the magic has disappeared, and it kind of went with the pier when they knocked it down.
When they knocked it down.
Yeah.
And where did those people go? Did they go down to the Keys, or they just scattered all over the place?
Some of them spread out. I mean, the surfers, they went to Cali, from what I heard.
Right.
The fishermen were forced to either go north to other beaches or to go to the Keys. Like you showed in the movie, there was an exodus. But then you got the Kevin Pagans who hung around the boardwalk and started fishing from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the boardwalk was a thing. I remember as a kid too going to the boardwalk. That was a thing. Going to Friday Night Live.
Yeah.
And seeing bands. That had to be one of the first concerts I went to, like Cab Calloway at Friday Night Live with my family and stuff. And there would be the old hippies there smoking weed, and there would be nice, cool, fun environment with food and carnival kind of environment, which was really cool. I know that Kevin Pagan, like you said, stayed there and fished off the boardwalk, and that's where he came up with that legendary catch where he got that tiger shark. But most of the other guys, who continued fishing, either moved on to boats, or some of them went to the Keys, some went to Sebastian Inlet.
Yeah.
And a lot of the good surfers and skateboarders, there are actually some pretty prominent surfers and skateboarders.
Really?
They went to California, a bunch of them.
Well, it shows in the movie definitely that, and we're going through crazy times from, the lockdowns, that people stopped getting together and stuff. you need to be part of a group and social setting and whatever that is. It's shark hunting, it's skateboarding, it's, you know, you play softball, whatever. Being part of something is important. As simple as I just want to fish off the pier for a couple hours with my buddies and maybe drink beer. Like it definitely shows that. I love documentaries. Walk me through behind the scenes of a documentary, of like making it and things that I wouldn't know or things that you would want your audience to know about in making this movie. And by the way, how long did it take you to make this movie?
6 years.
Wow.
2 years on the short film and then 4 years on the feature. I mean, it's making a documentary. The cliche thing to say is like it's getting written as you're making it, but at one point you have to stop yourself. It's been a lot of great times after production where like we go home, we look at the footage, and we're like, oh my God, this is so great. But you know, we've also had our down times, and but that to me is like my favorite moments, the moments where we're reassuring each other, you know, where it's like, this is my brother, I got his back, or likewise. It takes great persistence to do something of this nature, especially on the shoestring budget that we were doing. But you know, you keep at it, you never know, man. We went, I think, like a whole year without editing it, and then we sat down one day on July 5th, and then like the edit just started speaking to Ravi little by little, and he just wrote that momentum all the way, like 4 months straight. I think it was that he was in that editing.
I mean,
room.
there was some times like, you know, that while you're just putting together this massive collection of footage. I mean, you could just press play on all the footage we have. It would probably play for like, I don't know, a month.
Oh my God.
It's insane. There, you know, there's 10 other movies. There's hundreds of other movies that could have been made out of that footage too. And like, you know, the one that we ultimately decided to make was really the movie that no one was telling us to make. We just made the movie that we wanted to make.
Right.
And we had these other like little dead end edits that we were putting together initially, and like we'd put together 2 or 3 scenes, and maybe this is the movie. We had written it one way. No, it doesn't. It didn't jive. We did it again another way. Didn't really jive. And so it's kind of like, you know, I come from a music background. It's songwriting, you know, and like it has to speak to you in that way. And ultimately we had to find what our flow was and then follow that. It was like an intuitive thing, all from the gut. And, you know, when we started getting green lights, we just said yes, yes, yes. And kept with those ideas, bouncing them off each other. We were like, this is my confidant. I was, you know, at the editing, like what I call it, the sticks. I was in the editing chair most of the time, but, you know, this guy was also right over my shoulder, and we would talk about it. I'd send him stuff, just constantly writing and rewriting it and talking about some of the imagery and some of like the undertones of it, the 3-act structure. We tried to put that all in there. There's all this, like, we wanted to have it we wanted you to be able to watch it multiple times and catch other things so that it has like that rewatchability. All my favorite movies have that rewatchability, and so in some ways it's like we hit you over the head with so much information. It's so fast, and there's so much like little cool stuff. There's no way you could catch it in one viewing.
By the way, good music in the movie. The score was good.
Some people seem to love it, love it, and some people have a problem with it. But either way, you know, everyone's not gonna like everything you do, man. But for me, I mean, music is a huge thing. We call the movie a prog rock documentary sometimes because it has like
you have a lot of music in it. Yeah,
it has a lot of music
for a documentary for sure.
Almost all of it is locally sourced. I think there's one song that wasn't, but it's a friend who we met down here. It was an actor. And it was his brother's band. So
no, they're good.
Yeah, I mean, all those bands. I grew up with some of them. I met some of them later on in life. Played music with them.
Yeah,
we were fans of them. So it was amazing to bring all them together to work on this too. Like, man, it just feels that much better to make a movie and then source all the music from all the homies.
This episode is brought to you by Buena Vista Creative, Miami's premier digital marketing agency. Visit buenavistacreative.com for more info on how Buena Vista can help your business increase revenue and create the brand and digital presence it deserves. Video and podcast production, web and app development, search engine and social media marketing, logo creation, outdoor, print, swag, and more. Visit buenavistacreative.com to learn more.
So first of all, on the business side, let's talk about marketing first. You guys have done a very good job on social media, and I think you know, other methods of marketing. That's how I found you, right? I think I saw a digital short or a TikTok video. I was like, wait a minute, this is like totally targeted to me. It's, you know, Miami, it's sharks, and it's a documentary. I'm in. Walk me through some of the stuff, how you've gotten the word out for this documentary. It dropped nationwide, you know, a couple weeks ago. What have you done? What are some of the marketing plays that you've made?
I think it all started last year before Miami Film Festival. We initially said that we had a movie coming out. So we were able to, like, the genesis of our audience began when we made the short film at Cinema Slam. people were hearing about it online, so that started to create a small following for us. Then when we announced that the movie was coming out, sold out the Tower Theater, playing it off of Instagram. The Miami Herald had written an article for us, so we're just like cultivating the hometown audience already for about those 6 years. And then yeah, man, now that we put it out, had some good promoters help us out, WLRN, the Miami New Times. So
yeah, I mean, and then obviously, you know, what we're doing on the ground floor too, with like even just trying to come up with cool Instagram reels and try to find like, you know, the audience that would find this stuff appealing, like how we found you. So especially like we knew that there was going to be a way to market this and at least to like scale this up from a niche audience and hopefully, you know, to a national audience as we continue doing this. But this is part of the whole tour right now. So hopefully this helps make other people aware of it who might be potential audience for this too. So like we knew there was a niche audience in the old Miami Beachers and the old fisherman crew and skateboarding surf and even the people who are younger now in fishing and want to know about that history. So you know, at one point I was like, if we could get every fisherman in South Florida to watch this, it'll be successful.
It'll be super,
That'll be super cool. Now if we can get filmmakers, people who like documentaries to watch it, will be even more successful. So it's just a stepping stone at a time. And so it's this whole like awareness marketing campaign, like we call it a guerrilla marketing campaign right now because we're quite literally doing a lot of it on the ground floor ourselves.
So your car's a shark right now, right?
Yeah, I'm calling it the shark car for
the
now.
Shark car.
Yeah, the Sharkmobile shark car. I mean, you know, I told Pedro about a year ago. I was like,
Robbie says like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna turn my car into a shark. We're gonna get a billboard. We're gonna get the tow plane and stuff like that. And the idea has evolved since. Like he had the great idea to put up a mural. You know, something that
it's beautiful.
Something that's more part of a community than a billboard or a tow plane would be, you know?
Yeah, so instead of towing like a banner down South Beach, which we may still do with a, you know, like an airplane banner and like
or a big shark fin in the water.
Yeah, that would be even better. See, now you may need to jump on our marketing team. I don't know. I like that. We might get in trouble for that one, but that could be good press though still. But yeah, so we're just trying to come up with other creative ways to market the film, and in some ways, because we consider ourselves more than filmmakers, this has just become another art project to us too. Now we get to drive around in a car that has a giant 3-foot fin on it with vinyl teeth on the side. We're wrapping the back now so people actually know what it is. Yeah. Because right now, like people just think we're crazy. So we had to wait till we got a little more money so I could wrap the back of the van with some advertising and stuff and some other cool shit. And so like, yeah, man. Hopefully, you know, we get a little buzz from this and people start recognizing. Obviously, it's Shark Week, you know, and I think that the best way you could celebrate Shark Week, especially down here in South Florida, is watching a hometown movie about.
Watch this great documentary, right?
Yeah, about the real Shark Week here in like 1970s Miami Beach. Man.
Every week was Shark Week.
Yeah.
Walk me through the business side. So somebody who doesn't know anything about documentaries. Now there's this huge streaming channel, right? Where you give it to a distributor and they put it on Amazon, Apple. Walk me through take me behind the scenes.
I mean, that took us another year or two to do, man, from the debut of the film all the way to now. So at Miami Film Festivals, when we started like learning, we were like, hey, we're looking for a distributor. We want to get this movie distributed. They had sent us some good contacts that unfortunately nothing materialized. Then we went to Doc NYC to go look for the distributors there. Kept in touch with a few people. Then finally in January, like 3 distributors hit us up like the same week. And we signed with Vision Films.
Yeah, with a boutique distributor called Vision Films. It's interesting, you know, like we went to Doc NYC and we thought, okay, for sure we're gonna get someone out of this. And it was right before the holidays. And so everything kind of went cold for a while. And we're there like, you know, just thinking like, you know, through the holidays, obviously it's hard to follow up with people through emails in this time, but we're like, geez, man, we really want to lock this in. And then all of a sudden in one day, we got 3 people giving us offers. I mean, Vision is a great partner for us. They kept our expenses right where we want them to be, like relatively low. So that would be something if we're giving advice to other people who are trying to like, you know, distribute their films, you want to make sure that you keep your expenses down as much as possible. And then also that they're going to be someone who understands your movie, who understands how to market your film, where to put it, what's the strategy to scale it up from, you know, initially right now we're on transactional video on demand. Ideally, we'd like to be on SVOD, which is streaming video on demand, you know, subscription-based video on demand. And then from there, it'll probably go to an AVOD platform. And beyond that, we have a worldwide distribution deal, which is awesome. It's something that we were looking for as well, because we knew that this had potential in other countries where, you know, fishing is really popular. It's actually one of the most popular sports in the world. I mean, you can imagine, right? I mean,
And
there's a
people
lot
love
of water
sharks.
in
And
there.
people love sharks.
Yeah.
Even in this movie,
And sharks, yeah.
Shark is always the villain in just about every movie, right? Especially
some
the most
way. famous
one, Jaws.
Yeah.
But in this one, you kind of feel bad for the sharks in a weird way, right?
Yeah, that's interesting to say. I mean, we always say that this movie is like we use the shark thing as like a marketing thing almost too, because this movie's about people.
It's about people, 100%.
It's really just about people, and like were they the most interested thing that the thing they were most interested in was shark fishing, and and in the sharks themselves. So it does revolve around that. But yeah, it's a movie. It's a movie that has shark in its title, but is really about people.
It's about the people. It's about that dock and fishing off of it, and the relationships along the way. Walk me through early stage, financing. Like I know that when you're at Miami-Dade College, they helped you with a lot of this stuff. How did you bootstrap this to get it to the point where you got it in the film festivals and then to distributors? What did you do?
Well, Miami-Dade College provided us with the equipment initially so like Robbie was saying, we were filming the interviews for the feature already. We were doing like 2-hour-long interviews. So after Cinema Slam, we stated our intention to turn it into a feature film, and the first guy that came to us was Shannon Seaweed Jr. He gave us enough for us to get started, and that held us on for a while. I know Robbie's dad, some of our family members have pitched in too. Then after that, in November, we had a fundraiser. I think we raised what was it, like?
We raised close to $10,000, which was made possible by a lot of our friends and family giving us things to donate, like people who worked for a travel agency to give some tickets, like on American Airlines, or like actually Billy Corbin donated, who became a friend of the movie, donated some like tickets to like a premiere of his movie, and a number of different things like that. And like big thanks to all the friends and family who donated for that too. And as fate would have it, we raised about $10,000, and a week later we were burglarized at our studio for about $10,000.
Oh my God!
So that was interesting.
That's a whole nother little doc.
Yeah, it was a whole other doc.
We had the Key West Film Festival that day, so but poor Robbie was downtrodden. We just like grabbed him, put him in a car, and he drove all the way to Key West.
Well, we decided the way the story goes is, it was like we decided in the last second that we're gonna go to Key West Film Festival. The movie was playing there already, but we didn't know if we were gonna go. This is a short film, like this is how many? 2018.
2018.
So now 5 years ago.
November 2018.
Yeah, almost 5 years ago now. But is it 5 years ago? Jesus.
I think so.
Oh my God, we're getting old. That's what happens when you make a movie. You get old quick. But yeah, so I went into the studio. We decided we're gonna go really early in the morning. Like with the wind in my sails, like we're gonna go to the Keys today, my favorite place in the world, Key West. Let's go. It's just like gonna be just fun going out there, just partying. Like we have a movie there. It's like it's great. It's
great.
So, walk up to this. I drive up to the studio and I see 10 cop cars there. I'm like, oh my God, bro, am I like sleeping still? Like, what's going on? Park my car up. I run into the back of the studio, and our door was kicked in, and all of our things were gone. Anything that was worth anything, pretty much.
Oh man,
our computers, our projector, cameras. The only thing that they didn't take that was like an electronic was our one big hard drive that, for some reason, he did not take, and there were no other backups. They were all in the studio,
you got
which
lucky,
was
man.
a really good lesson to learn.
Yeah,
like, it would have been a worse lesson if they took it. But so I just like I laid down on the floor, and I just basically like cried for like 10 minutes, and then screamed and like a bunch of obscenities, and and then we just strapped our boots up and went down to the Keys anyways. But they basically had to like drag me down there, and then I just went into binge drinking immediately.
That's a good remedy. Give me the feedback of the audience. What's the online world saying? What are the reviews? What are people out there saying about the movie?
Well, I think so far, like we've had a really great response, especially locally, and then also I believe, you check in on some of that stuff on different territories.
Yeah,
too, right?
so far it's beyond our expectation. Really overwhelmingly positive, man.
Good.
You got your bad apples here and there, but it's all good, man. There's a lot of love involved in all of this, so it's really feeding the wind to our sails right now.
Whenever you put something out like that, and this is part of just making art or making anything or putting yourself out there. Not everyone's gonna like it necessarily, and that's totally cool. What we want is just for people to engage with it, and whether you like it or not, like that's totally cool. Like just take a look at it, and then you can judge it from there. As long as you watch it all the way through,
give it a fair shot.
That would be great. But I mean, it's been overwhelming. We've gotten a lot of great reviews on IMDb, a lot of great reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, and a lot of rewatchability. Like people are watching it multiple times, right?
Yep.
That's-
Amazon, great ratings in there too.
Amazon-
Voodoo as well is playing really well on Voodoo right now. So
Correct. I mean, like you just showed it to, you know, Josh just became aware of the movie, and he's like, I watched it 3 times. It's my favorite movie. He's like, I had no idea it was like this. Like, so that was like,
and the comments that we're getting, man. So Dogtown and Z Boys was one of the inspirations for us making this movie. We just got one yesterday. A dude that we don't even know, and he was like, this does for Miami Beach what Dogtown did for that area.
For Venice Beach. Yeah.
That's very cool.
So
which is a great doc.
Yeah. So that's awesome. And initially, like especially in the first 2 weeks, it was like this little phenomenon that was happening. Like on Instagram, everyone was just like in bed or on their couch or something, taking pictures of the actual TV. We were posting them every day.
Including me. That's how I found you.
We were posting you. Yeah. Everyone was like watching this on my TV, which was like we didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Like, so that's, man, sometimes these things like once you put your art out there, it just it goes to the world. It's no longer yours.
Yeah,
it's for the people now.
You guys have a great trailer. It's a huge hook. The second I saw it, I'm
No
like,
pun
no pun intended, but I'm like, oh yeah, I'm all over it. This
Yeah.
it's my audience. All right, so you started this 6 years ago. Lessons learned. If you can get in a time machine and go back, what would you tell to your younger selves?
Try to find the distributor a lot earlier. You know,
Really?
start having those conversations.
And why is that? Why earlier?
Just because it felt like when we were finished with the movie that whole distribution business side was so neglected. I mean, I get it. You know.
Right.
So I wish that we would have paid a little more attention and started engaging some distributors earlier. You know, to not have to have done this journey. But in the end, you know, it doesn't matter. We're right where we're supposed to be. I believe 100%.
Yeah, it all works out, but there's just certain things like even like on the tail end, saving money for marketing, having a marketing budget. But the way that we worked on this was very linear, and we were a very small crew, shoestring budget, basically Pedro and I, and then, you know, other friends who came in and out along the way throughout the process of production and post-production, you know. But we tried to get money out where we could, and, you know, some of the movie was also produced while we were in school, so that was like, you know, we were lucky enough to have that as well. But yeah, I mean, as far as what we've learned, I mean, first of all, don't make a documentary. It takes forever. It takes a long time, you know. But no, you could make one. But I mean, if we did it again, all over again, I mean, I think we could be more efficient. Obviously, you know, we had to learn the ropes, man. So that was the best school we could ever have, is making a documentary ourselves. Right. And yeah, so in some ways, I wouldn't take anything back about it. I mean, we learned everything from, like, you know, just having an idea and throwing things at the wall to, you know, full on getting a distribution deal and having the movie widely available for everyone to watch.
100% film school could prepare you, but like
just
you
doing
said,
it right.
the best thing is
it's just like a business, right? You can go to business school, but just jump ahead first. Let's get it going. You're gonna make mistakes. Don't beat yourself up. Learn from them and move on.
And to people who want to do this too, I recommend, like, man, you got to touch, you know, if especially in a smaller budget, or if you want to be directing or producing too, you got to touch every part of the movie, man.
Right.
You really want to know how to do every job on set, or like more like to some degree, man. And so, yeah, it was just an awesome experience doing this. And, you know, it did take a long time, but, you know, we learned sometimes the hard way. And, you know, in the end, it's all been worth it. And we feel like we've reaped those benefits just like, you know, in our soul, even just for having gone through this experience.
Absolutely. And so much stronger in the sense that, like, now I feel like we're better storytellers. Now gauging the marketing thing, I feel we could do that right there with the best of them. So we'll see, man.
You're getting better and better.
Yeah.
What's next, guys?
Well, right now, I think what's really next is right in front of us. It's this marketing thing, which, like I said, is an art project in itself. So that's really fun to do. And then Pedro and I are writing partners, and we've been writing, you know, over the years, like different shorts. And we were younger and like in the infancy of this documentary, and now it's come back again full circle. And we wrote a pilot for a TV show and a whole like production Bible and a bunch of character study on that. And we just have, you know, a desire to write a fiction, and so we're gonna just pursue that. And
so no more docs for a while. Docs are on the back burner.
I mean, you
if you got a good story,
never,
no, there could be. I mean, I think they would be done with a little more funding. Actually, that would help a lot. So, but we have this one under our belt, so this is a good proof of concept to, like, maybe you know, put together another deck and get some investors for another documentary. I would do that. So but it would just be done completely differently. We couldn't do it how we just did it.
No,
last time.
totally. I can't let you guys go without asking you some rapid fire questions. All right,
Go
ready?
for it.
Okay, first question. How many times have you watched the movie Jaws?
326.
Whoa.
Probably like 40, 50 times.
Okay, great. You cannot say Nine Inch Nails. If you could get one song to put into this documentary, because I know you guys are big music guys, what would that song be?
Nine Inch Nails. I thought he was gonna say it.
I figured you
Well,
would.
we actually pursued getting Nine Inch Nails music in this movie at one point.
Yeah.
You know, so we ended up and there was a possibility of doing it, just was way out of our budget.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it was just cool to be in talks with Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah,
you
to
know,
to at least try to pursue that, just a little bit with our lawyer and stuff. But obviously that didn't work out. But John Williams even too, and we could get any music.
Williams, if we could get him.
All right.
What else?
Some little snippets made it here and there.
What band were you gonna say?
I was gonna say Art Carson at the drive-in or something, like a
Yeah.
specific song.
Okay.
Very cool. Your favorite documentary, other than this one?
The Act of Killing, I would say.
The Act of Killing. I've never even heard of it. What?
That's Jay Oppenheimer. I believe that one's in the Philippines, and there had been like a civil war there, and then the movie takes place in present day, and these guys like oppressed the people. They committed like a massive genocide. So a documentarian like goes into the oppressors, like he films them and all that. It's just an amazing study in the human character and these dark minds. It's and all the regret that they hold for the rest of their life too.
Really?
I highly recommend that.
All right, I'm gonna check it out.
That movie is really crazy and awesome.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing. But for me, I mean, and the reason why I made this movie,
It's not
like
the
this too-
Philippines, Indonesia. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay, Indonesia. That movie's insane. Dogtown and Z-Boys is one of my all-time favorites.
Me too.
you know?
It's one of my
that's
favorites.
Like why we wanted to emulate some of that. Some of the spirit and the energy of that movie in this movie, especially in the cutting and the nature of like the subject matter and all that stuff. But one of the best things I've seen on film too in documentary is the Jinx. Like that Robert Durst story.
Fantastic.
I
Crazy.
like a lot of true crime stuff, man. I'm like
That's a great one.
I will watch
Yeah.
a lot of Dateline and all that crap. I watch a lot
man.
of shitty TV too.
Yeah.
So, but that Jinx documentary I thought was badass.
It was
too.
badass.
Really
It was
cool.
well made too.
Yeah.
All right. You guys are big Miami sports fans, like I am. Next two questions are Miami sports related. In your opinion, if the Miami Dolphins changed their name from the Miami Dolphins to the Miami Sharks, would we finally win a Super Bowl? Because the Miami Dolphins, you got this dolphin with a stupid little helmet on top. It's not scaring anybody. You put a big shark fin, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, if
it's superstitious. I mean, when did Any Given Sunday come out?
I was-
Yeah,
about
with the Sharks, right? So
win.
Miami Sharks. Yeah. They got it right. Oliver Stone got it right.
yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. If it's gonna mean that we win a Super Bowl, I mean, I'm
Change
all
it to
for
whatever you want. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Finally, dude. All right. Last question. You guys, you're even wearing a Heat hat. Will the Miami Heat, by the time Shark Week rolls out, by the end of Shark Week, will Dame Lillard be on the Miami Heat?
Absolutely.
I think so. I'm gonna knock on wood. I don't want to mess up the audio. Okay, well, never mind.
Hey, to get him, I'll mess up the audio.
Sorry, but yeah, I'm gonna knock on wood about that. Like, a little superstitious, but I think, I think we will get him.
Awesome, good. Guys, thanks for coming to the show. Where can people watch the movie, find out more about you guys, that sort of stuff?
You can type in South Beach Shark Club. You can watch the movie on Amazon, Voodoo, Google Play, Apple TV. You could also get in touch with us at South Beach Shark Club. That's our handle.
Yes,
SouthBeachSharkClub.com.
We're at South Beach Shark Club on Instagram and TikTok. Anywhere you type in South Beach Shark Club, it'd be hard to not find us. And we have a website. We have a newsletter. You want more information? You want, some
questions or anything? We're pretty open.
Anything. And we're gonna be doing a lot of activations now towards the end of July for Shark Week.
Yeah.
So, stay up to date with that too and come out and have a beer with us and talk with us. So we'll do like some little Ask Me Anythings on Instagram and just be out there with the van, kind of, I don't want to say terrorizing the public, but
they know where to find you. Just the only guy driving around a shark mobile.
Yeah, we're gonna be in shark costumes too, probably. But,
Perfect.
After we have a couple of beers, it'll be easier to get into shark costumes and run around and just engage with the community. I think it'll be fun. We'll be giving out giveaways and stuff.
And this is a great way to kick off Shark Week, is watching this documentary. I know I enjoyed it. I've spread the word to a couple of friends who have watched it, and they really liked it. So
absolutely,
it's awesome.
If you like Shark Week, I just think that you're gonna love this movie. I think that this is just like real throwback to like somebody, just like we were referencing the comment section the other day. They don't make docs like this anymore. Somebody had said that, but
It has a
Right?
timeless quality to it. It seems like it was made
Totally.
20 years ago, or
It feels like it was made 20 years ago, hopefully in a good way though. Like, and you know, that was kind of the aesthetic that we wanted it to be behind. It had that Cocaine Cowboys, Dogtown and Z-Boys aesthetic of that as well. So.
Very cool. Guys, thanks for coming on the show.